Hello and welcome to Moment of Truth on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Today I want to talk about the fact that the world is on fire. We have seen record-breaking temperatures across Europe, in the US, China, floods in South Korea, floods in Spain, forest fires in Greece. I can't believe I've got to stress this, but this isn't normal. The world hasn't had a colder than average year since 1976. It's before I was born. We're seeing now today the hottest global temperature ever recorded in human history. The last 8 years have seen the hottest the oceans have been for over 100,000 years. And it's set to get hotter. I can't stress this enough. The amount of energy we have added to the surface, oceans and atmosphere of our planet by digging carbon out of the ground, burning it, and then sending the resultant CO2 up into the atmosphere, which we know is a greenhouse gas, is over 1.575 zettajoules of energy. A zettajoule is a 1 with 21 zeros after it. That's the energy equivalent of over 25 billion Hiroshima atomic bombs. Or, to put it another way, that's around one nuclear bomb exploding every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year for 800 years. That's the heat from a nuclear bomb going off every second since the signing of the Magna Carta. And yet, the disgraceful right-wing psychopaths are still, to this day, claiming that it's not true, that it's not real. And if it is real, it's not our fault. The narcissist's prayer on a biblical scale. I don't know about you, but I have no problem understanding that digging 1.3 quadrillion pieces of coal, 1.4 quadrillion litres of oil, and 0.9 quadrillion cubic metres of gas up out of the ground and burning it over 263 years will have a significant impact on the global environment. I'm not a scientist, but I'm not an idiot either. It makes sense to me, but obviously it doesn't make sense to Richard Tice. It doesn't make sense to Loser Fox or Penis Corbyn or the many others who enjoyed the privileged platform that comes from an expensive education. Maybe their parents should get their money back. It seems strange to me that there are people in the world who not only want to see it burn, but are actively stoking the flames. Maddeningly enough, if you type in the words tipping point environment into Google, the first result that appears is from a mysteriously funded think tank in America called the Breakthrough Institute, which states that there are no such thing as climate tipping points. This is the kind of insidious bullshit farming that only the richest, most powerful, and most psychotic corporations and interests in the world can afford. And also, what's been rammed down our throats for the last 50 years. If you're lucky enough to have children, if you have grandchildren, or if you just care in any way about your fellow humans, I can't stress enough how important it is that we fight for a livable future. I will put this in the simplest terms that I can think of. We measure the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere in parts per million. Before the Industrial Revolution, it was around 280 parts per million. It's now edging up to 420 parts per million, a staggering 50% increase. A process that naturally would take millions of years has taken just 250. Now understand this. Every little bit of CO2 that goes into the atmosphere from this point on increases the statistical likelihood of your children and your grandchildren dying a violent death. Is that the future you want for them? You think this so-called refugee crisis is bad now? You're talking about a few tens of thousands of people, if that. The way things are going, vast tracts of the planet will become uninhabitable, underwater or scorched desert on which nothing will grow. Too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer, more heat waves, more floods, more forest fires, more storms, more extremes everywhere. We are looking at a future where billions of people are on the move, desperate, angry, looking for somewhere to stay, looking for somewhere they can stay alive. And millions of people will be wandering the earth with nothing to lose. If you can explain to me how that situation doesn't end in violence, in the most horrific worldwide civil war ever contemplated, I'm all ears. The time for complacency is over. The world is on fire. It's time for us all to get that fire under control and bring the arsonists to justice by any means necessary.